All right, so I got some Alpine, a pair of Alpine Type E's in, and I thought I knew the product, but I didn't. I've never been a real fan of Alpine woofers in the past, well, ever. Now that I think about it, some of the 2-inch ones, the Type R, when they use the 2-inch coil, a lot of people are fans of those, mostly because they take the 12 and then they remove the frame and then you can put on like an 8, you turn it into an 8, and it's a pretty badass 8. But so anyways, I picked up a pair of Type B's used with the box, ported box, for $50. One is dead, one is alive, and I was like, okay, let's prepare for this video a little bit, and I just wanted to kind of look at it. Just a basic spade terminal. Come to find out, they use a 1.5-inch voice coil, which I was surprised about. And then I was trying to look up what these compare to. Basically, it's like a JL Audio W0. So one of the things that I discovered on here is that Alpine used to, whenever they made this one, because there was the Type S, which I think was below the Type E, and then so it was Type S, Type E, and then Type R is what I remember. I don't know if my thoughts are crazy. The other thing that I noticed was that now they don't do conservative ratings. They kind of do a more, I don't want to say more accurate, but they're not being conservative anymore. They're being more factual, as I learned on the modern website. So the modern website has only been up since 2019. This is the one from the 2019. You guys remember the Type X, which uses a 3-inch coil. It's good for like 1,000 watts. It was their top of the line. And then the Type R, which was a 2 5/8 voice coil, good for rated at about 650 watts. They rated it more of the true power now at 750 watts RMS on the the modern site. And then below that, I think they had the Type E and then the Type S. So they had 4 series. AlpineUSA.com. Don't be fooled by AlpineCarAudio.com. I don't think that goes anywhere. This is the website. Of course, they're going to promote powered enclosures because they make more money that way. The new Type S, which is the S2, this would be on par with a SCAR SDR. So it uses a 2 5/8-inch voice coil, which is the same from the Type R, but it uses a smaller magnet. And so they rated it at 600 watts, which I think is being generous. They should have rated it more for about 450, but they didn't. So I'm sure it does 600 RMS in the proper enclosure, and you can check those out. Again, Alpine has always been kind of expensive, and I think it's changed hands a couple times, and usually you'll see them mess around with it every time they try to reinvent the brand and try to do stuff. So this is the modern Type R. They also make a Type R shallow, and this is just the same old product they've always had, just with a big R in the middle. It's a good product. It's just I think they priced it expensive. I remember seeing, again, this was 10-15 years ago, yeah, for $449. That's insane for what is basically a I don't even think it's as good as the SCAR DDX. I think the SCAR DDX has a bigger motor. So now this one integrates the frame inside the magnet so that it uses it more of a heat sink. But really, if you just put a bigger magnet on there, you don't need to use the heat sink, or you don't need to use the frame as a heat sink. So, but you know, whatever. I'm not in charge of shit. So I downloaded the manual, the S2. Oh, no, yeah. I just wanted to verify the new S2. The new S2 uses the 2 5/8, and then the larger magnet on the 10 and the 12 is 64 ounce. Let's go. I found the thing at Crutchfield. What did we say? 64 ounce. See, this rates it at about 250 RMS. And then Santoprene. See, I told you that. Somebody said that doesn't exist. I was like, go fuck yourself. You need to do your homework. And then this also has a 64 ounce magnet. So same as the S2, but it just uses a bigger voice coil. So, and the magnet actually is pretty beefy. So maybe that new Type S2 is pretty beefy. So I compared it to the Polk Audio one that I had posted for $60, and then I'm going to go ahead and post this one for $60 as well. So the one that works is a little bit beat up, a little crusty, but again, a lot of people really like Alpine, and I think it'll sell pretty quick, and I'll probably combo it up with a that Sony amp, which is a little too powerful. Maybe I'll do a combo with one of the 4 channels where you can bridge channels 3 and 4 onto the sub, because the sub is a single 4 ohm. And like I said, it's an 1.5 inch voice coil, so it's that weird size that you see on the JL W3 and the W0. So the W0 is conservatively rated. I think it's good for about maybe 250, 300 watts. I think it's the same thing with this one. I think it actually could do more, closer to 400 watts, but you know, again, you don't want to push it. The magnet is on size, on par with like a Comp R from Kicker. So again, there's no difference between brands. They just look different, and then the features are slightly different. A lot of times they make them more complicated and sound technical because, so I realized this the other day, is that young men's search for audio equipment is a surrogate for women. So you're looking for nice looks, lots of performance, good affordability, and you know, love you long time sort of things. But a lot of times, you know, you're looking, like in a woman, you're looking for unique features that are awesome. And also a lot of times the brand helps with status, right? Like if you have a really hot chick, even though she's fucking crazy and she's got herpes and, you know, 3 vaginas or whatever, as long as she looks hot out in public, she's a status symbol for you. And a lot of times that can bring you clout, even though she's really just a beard and you're Muslim and, you know, you're secretly gay. But, you know, whatever. Again, I don't like to play that. Let's see. Here is the Type E manual. I wanted to go into here. No thanks. It's a fake. There we go. Yep, this is it. So a stamped frame, 64-ounce motor, double stacked. It's just real thin stacked. You could do one solid one if you wanted. That's the 12, which is what I have. Santoprene rubber surround. It said it has a Kevlar cone, which it does. It has a nice paper cone. I don't know if you can see that. And then they do a, this is paper laminated with some sort of plasticky finish to make it look very good. I like this system, using paper cone and then a paper dust cap that fills the whole cone area so that it looks like a, you know, sort of that JL look. One more link I got open. This is probably the best picture. I'll probably use that picture on the thumbnail. And then yeah, it compares to JL. So again, this would be on par with like a W0, the new one, the V3. Let's say they have it. I don't think they have it. Oh, they do the W1 now? I don't know. Whatever. Or I guess, yeah, sorry, my bad. W1. I guess they don't make the W0 anymore. So, $249. This is the 10 though, but anyways, you get the idea. Nobody makes anything special. This JL just makes this real pretty with the polycone and a nice rubber surround and a very nice finish. So, but I plan to eat their lunch here in 2026. We'll talk more about that later. So, but let me cut this one open to show you guys the guts. One is frozen up, and I want to see why it froze up. It was probably because of abuse, but it might be because of shift. We don't know. Let's find out. Sorry, I had to find my knife. So this is the one I get. It's giblet. Got your giblets in the turkey. This is the good one. This is the 2-piece. I do like this gasket that they put on there. It's a 2-piece gasket, meaning that it's a rubber wraparound gasket for a stamped frame, and then they have a finish piece that goes on here to cover up the screws, and it gives it a real nice and visible look. So, but again, this one is for $60. You can't really beat it. But I found out on some of the old internet websites, that's what it sold for originally in its prime when they had the most of them. They sold for $60, and I was like, oh, you can't fucking beat that. That was fucking great. But Again, that was like 10, 15 years ago. So here's the dead one. Oh. It is pretty frozen. Not super frozen, but definitely crusty. I'm sure that coil slinkied and expanded, but we'll check it out and see what's up. All right, so this is a little baby voice coil, 1.5 inches. And yeah, they torched it, but it is shifted. You can see how it's crooked. It's a little pinched over here versus open over here. See that? So it's a little shifted. Rivets to the frame. They actually went through the hassle of putting 2 spiders on here. And then they just floated the leads, sky wires with some sort of maybe a hot glue into the bottom of the cone. And then of course, if you take this dust cap off, let me take that dust cap off. So the yeah, it's just a paper cap, which is what I thought. It's actually better than a poly cap, even though they use a poly cap on the Type R, if I remember right. So, but again, it looks very pretty, good finish, and they also use that as the sealing cap. Instead of using a former top or an inner cap, this does that job, and they just glued it down. So, and then not a strong paper cone. Again, the difference are pennies, but if you're producing 10,000 of these, that can really add up. And then they just did the wires here, terminated to the voice coil, and then that was it. They called it a day. So other than that, it's a good alternative to like a JL if you want to, you know, if you want a brand that has a little bit of, it's like basically dating a brunette, where it's not the blonde, but she's less crazy, and maybe one boob's a little bit bigger than the other, or you know, one eye is looking at the wall, but she's hot, she's got a nice rack, and she'll make you sandwiches and suck your dick and call her friends over. So still a good value. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go out for pizza because the wife's feeling a little blue. She's going through menopause, and so she likes to eat out. She doesn't like to cook anymore. So we're gonna go get some pizza, come back, and then I'm gonna get ready for the live stream tonight, 6 p.m. Arizona time. Thanks for watching, guys. I love you. And that is the Type E from Alpine. Very minimal badging. This is just a sticker. Bumped back plate for more excursion, but you saw the coil. It looks like a 40 millimeter. Yeah, it's about a 45 millimeter wine height. So long for a coil this small, but it could get down. So again, for the price, for 60 bucks, yeah, this is a really good deal. And it would be on par with like the Recoil RW series, which uses a full 2-inch voice coil and is rated at 300 watts. And those I can get you for like right around, I think 75 each or 140 a pair shipped. And they have them in the D2 or the D4. So the other downside is this is only a single 4 ohm. So I would actually recommend this for like home audio. And then monitor the FS. It should be in the low 30s though. This is a pretty simple build. So love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.